your mind against you for a good time. You just might be exposed to things you didn't know about before. 'Cause we're amateur reality hackers. We are amateur reality hackers. Let's start the show.
Right, and welcome back to the longest amateur reality hackers podcast that we've done yet, and boy, are we excited for it. So, Janice, I think you were talking about John checking through the motel.
Yes. So, he's checking through the motel just to see who, if there was anybody in there hiding in there. Obviously, there wasn't. So we talked, and he asked me to come back. So that's how I actually came back to him. Now, what I was going to say about the fight with the girl, I think it was less about the girl and more about him trying to create a situation to see if I would reach back out to the pimp. You know what I'm saying? So because I think he knew. I guess he knew that this conversation had already transpired with the pimps and this cartel representative. So because he had already known about that, because they weren't sharing that information with me, newly sharing it amongst themselves. So this was something that was already discussed amongst themselves. And they were trying to figure out how to bring me into it. So this was because I called the pimp like an idiot. This was their way to get me involved in the situation.
And the timeline of that fits up with when John would have found out about the pimps and the of him like kicking you out over that one stupid bitch. It lines up with when the pimps would have had that conversation with the cartel, is what you're saying.
Yeah, all of that while we were not talking. So this was something that they had been discussing for a while. So during that couple of months when I wasn't talking to the pimp, this is what their plan of action they were coming up with. And so
just a weird side question before we go on, and sorry everyone, I'm petting my dog down here. I'll stop. I'm sure it looks awkward as hell. So hey, Max, come here, say hi. Yay! All right, there we go. So no, do you know what John did to piss the cartel off?
I think the situation that what happened with that was just a continuation of what was going on in Belize.
Okay,
and
so were they connected to the Belize situation? Sorry.
I wasn't told that, but this is what I assumed. My assumption was because they were this I guess that's who runs, that area down there in Belize. It's the cartels that run that area, and I guess it's not unheard of for the Belizeans to use them as their muscle.
Okay, that makes sense.
That was my assumption. Like I said, it wasn't expressed to me in that way. Obviously John shared with me what was going on and what he was dealing with in Belize, but I don't know. I guess I don't recall him like telling me that information. It was just something that I just assumed that that's what was happening. That they were a part of that. Like I said, obviously no one would just tell me outright, this is what, we're doing this for,
And part of me always wondered if it had to do with some sort of cybersecurity thing, because I know the mafia is pretty heavy into the hacking world and into the cybersecurity world. And so if he had done something in the background to, flop one of their projects, I could see that pissing people off.
Well, he said that I guess what sparked everything in Belize was the fact that he had given keystroke logging computers to various secretaries of different high-level people within the government, the Belizean government. And so he was able to tap in, and get what he was looking for, he said, was that proof that they had set him up to raid his property, because that I guess it was in the news when he had gotten arrested and in Belize, and there was something minor, like a not having a licensed gun or registered gun, something like that. Nothing serious came of it, but he said that they destroyed like $500,000 of his lab, which, for the record, was not a meth lab. I don't
No,
know how
what wasn't
it
he
came
working on
to.
antibiotics or something?
He was working on topical antibiotics, and he said that um, they had just gotten the formula, and they were actually trying it out on people, in Belize, in some of the villages, when they had whatever kind of bites, from the different animals there, or whatever, insects there, and it was working. It worked for a lot of people, and so um, I guess in the plant that they were using it's only found in Belize. So I'm not sure what made him get into that, but obviously, I guess because he was in antivirus, it makes sense, to try to want to help these people. That's what I think sparked it, because he was getting bit. When he came back, he had like all these bite marks, on his legs, because he wore shorts. So there's on his lower legs from I mean, they were pretty bad bite marks, actually, under his skin. And so that was, the reason why he decided, let's find something, because I guess the stuff that you could already buy was not really working or preventing you from getting bit. So it started out as something that he needed for himself, and was trying to make it wider available. But because they destroyed the lab, that kind of killed that, and then the relationship went sour with the woman that was working in the lab for him. So, like I said, yeah, it was just a continuation of the Belize situation, is what I assumed, because of the information that he got um, from the hacked computers. He got all kind of information about human trafficking, drug trafficking, murders for hire, um,
Yeah, and
different
along the.
politicians
Oh,
who
sorry.
had,
Go ahead.
yeah, no, I'm sorry, but different politicians who had, were kind of funneling their money through various, shady means. And so he got a lot of extra information that he had no idea he was going to get, and he wasn't even looking for. And what happened was they found out about that because one of the girls was sleeping with someone in the police department, and they were just having like pillow talk, and she said, yeah, we're doing this for John Mcafee. Because he would have, hire some girls to listen to conversations, or what, I don't forget what they were listening to, but they would just try to see if there was any relevant information to him, and then I guess they would write it down or report it or whatever. Anyway, so she shared this with the police person, and it got back to them, and that's what set off the war for him. So he had been on the run, actually, in Belize for, months before his neighbor was killed.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of
Gotcha.
people don't know that, but that's what was happening, with him behind the scenes there. And so, like I said, I just assumed that it was a continuation. They didn't say exactly why they wanted me to do this, why they wanted this information, but I just assumed, um, that this would be um, a continuation of it. Also, John had mentioned that you know, people would use, the cartel when it was such a high level situation, of information that he was able to gather. Um, but I guess that's normal for them to use that kind of muscle, I guess. So,
Well, I
um,
mean, it just kind of sounds like, based on everything you just painted out, that the cartels and the Belizean government were pretty well laced together at that point. So it makes sense that if you fuck with the Belizean government that's doing all this shady stuff in an area that's run by the cartel muscle comes after you, because you've now just essentially fucked with the thing that lets the cartel exist there.
yeah. And John spoke about this a lot, so maybe I'll try to find some of these instances where he spoke about this, because obviously he tells it a lot better than I do. Um, and so and it's really quite fascinating, when you think about it. So anyway, so this is where I am now. I'm in this fucked up situation, and I don't tell John, obviously, but I know that he knows, just because of how I explained to you how he came into the hotel room, and then there were things that he would say to me to let me know that he knew, what was going on. But I just didn't trust him, you know for me, because of what happened with the girl. So my thing, I'm looking at, why would you betray? To me, it was a betrayal of my trust, because I thought we were a little more solid than that, or at the very least, we had an understanding, where I don't know. I was just very upset about it and in my feelings unnecessarily so about that situation. And I guess I just didn't want to trust him with this situation because I could be putting my family in danger, you know, because how easy would it be for somebody to just go to my family's house? At that time they had been living in that same house for over 30 years. They're easy to find, and they had the same routines. So I was very concerned about that. And also there were people around us in Portland. And the person, the representative was actually someone that John was working with, you know, um, because John's the type of person that he brings his enemies in. He very much did that all the time, because he wants to see, who this person is. He wants to get all the intel that he needs so that he can protect himself, obviously. So I was just concerned that if I said something to him, it would somehow get back to the pimps or to this cartel person, and then how could I protect my family, and I couldn't. So I didn't say anything to him, but then eventually they started asking me to do other things. Um they gave me a substance. I've spoken about this before, but it was like a grainy substance, and they said to put it in his food when I cook for him. And so I go back to, the pimp is who I met up with, and he gave it to me. And my pimp was who I met up with, and he gave it to me in Portland. And obviously I'm not going to use it, but I can't tell him that, so I have to give, you know, so I'm trying to just give the impression to him that, okay, I'll do this, without saying, what the hell, obviously, because that wouldn't be good for me. So anyways, I take it. We one day we were going to cook together, but John got busy. I think he was doing an interview or some work or something on the phone, and or maybe he just busied himself to see what I would do. And so I was hungry, and I decided to go ahead and cook without him. And he so I cooked the food, and then he comes out and he's standing in our bedroom doorway, and he's looking, and he's like, "Oh, you cooked already?" And I was like, "Yeah, because I'm hungry." And he's like, "Okay, bitch." I could see that's kind of what he's thinking. And he comes in, and I said, "Do you want me to fix your plate, or you want to fix it yourself?" And he's like, "No, you can fix it." So he's watching me very closely to see how I'm dishing the food. So what I did was I stirred it all together, mixed it all together just to show him, and I dished my plate first and dished his the same way, just to let him know I'm not picking from one specific place to give you your food, because like I said, we never talked about it, but I knew that he knew what was happening because obviously he's John Mcafee, and he'd already told me about the things that he was able to find out. So there's no way that I would ever think that he didn't know what was happening with me. So
Well, and with his access to technology, he was kind of one of those guys that it was easier to assume that he already knew what you
right,
were about to tell him than, you know what I mean, to bank on him fucking knowing it already kind of thing.
right,
So,
right. Which is why I went, a couple of years without saying anything to him. So I dished the food, and so it was just noodles and broccoli and some chicken. And he takes the noodles. We At this time we had our dog Tequila, pit bull, red nose, and she's always in the kitchen. When there's cooking being done, as dogs are. So he starts feeding her some of the noodles, right? Like enough to see if she's going to get sick from it, and obviously she didn't. And so he was he was happy about that. He ate a little bit of the food, but he didn't finish it. And so so what I did was I went ahead and ate his food as well, just so I could make him understand. Listen, I didn't put it in the food, and I think he understood that, um, and he appreciated that. And other things they asked me to do, like they wanted to try to disable his car. Um, so I would tell him not to park on the street, park in the parking garage, not to drive by yourself, have someone else drive you around, and just so that could kind of ward off of that that threat, if there was a possible threat. So I would do things like that. So they would tell me to do something, but then I would go back and tell John how to protect himself from what they were trying to tell me to do,
Oh,
you
and
know.
he's smart
And
enough. He probably caught on to what you were doing right away there.
yeah, and they also asked me to make a duplicate key for our apartment, which I never did, because obviously it's going to come right back to me. And also, I just didn't want to do it. I just
Yeah.
didn't want to do it. I was smart enough to know who John was, or well, rather who he wasn't, and who he wasn't was someone to fuck with. So
Yeah.
so I just didn't do that. But
So
I did my best to try to
per-
inform him of what was happening without telling him.
yeah, that makes total sense. So to jump to the ending, how did you guys make it out of the situation?
That situation there, or are we talking about a specific situation? There were so
Just
many.
yeah, no, I'm sorry. That's shit. Your whole fucking relationship with him was probably just a giant adventure. So specifically the situation with the cartel actively trying to use you as a pawn in their quest to get him.
So that came to a head in the summer of 2014 when there was attempted kidnapping on me. We were in Boston because he was going to be meeting with the director, because he had sold his life rights to someone and they were going to be doing a documentary or something. So we were in Boston to meet that person. And when we met up when we were in the hotel, we had another fight. What about, I don't know, but what it was always about was the situation with the pimp, but we never fought about that directly. It was always some stupid innocuous thing that we were fighting about, but we were actually having another fight underneath that stupid fight. So anyways,
Yeah,
um
the fight onion layer. I've been there
yeah.
before.
Yes. So I decided to leave and go get some cigarettes, and we were staying somewhere downtown Boston, but there happened to be a hospital across the main road and to the left a little bit from the hotel, and then directly to the left on the same side of the street there was a parking garage, and there was a bus stop out front, a bus depot. And I asked someone, where was a store where I could go and buy, some cigarettes, and he told me to go through the parking garage, something I would not normally do. And just for your audience, beware of parking garages. If you're women, they're not usually safe places for women. And if you see a panel van parked next to your car, um, I don't know, try to wait till someone else is in the parking lot with you, because it's a very dangerous situation for you to be in if there's a panel van. Anyway, so
Oh, just to add to that, sorry, real quick. Also, if you have any shit shoved in the lock for your car door, that's someone trying to slow you down so they can snatch you up. So be careful of that shit
yeah,
also.
that's true as well, especially during the holiday season. Be
Mm,
be aware of your surroundings, and if you're going to your car and you're alone, make sure you have your keys in your hand, ready to get in the car, and make sure no one's following you or watching you. Just okay, so I go through the parking garage, and immediately when I come out, there's a gentleman sitting in his car parked right outside of the parking garage, and he's just sitting in his car, not reading a newspaper, a book, or on his phone or anything. He's just sitting and looking straight ahead. And so obviously that immediately catches my attention. So I go in the store, smoke, get my cigarettes, and I come out and I stand there and I watch him a little bit, watch the foot traffic, watch the car traffic, and I don't see anything. So I will cross the street again. And instead of going back through the parking garage, I take a left turn. I take a left down the street. So I'm going to now walk around, kind of in a square around the block to get back to the hotel. And I go in between the car that he's parked in because I wanted to see his plate, and it had government tags on it. So immediately I'm, kind of just not scared or anything, but I'm just making a note of that, mental note of that. And so as I'm walking towards the hotel, this woman starts walking up the street towards me. And something that John always said to do, something he would just, if he thought someone was following us, he would just randomly stop and just stand still. And then you watch the chaos that happens around you. And usually it always happens. So that's what I did this time. And I just stopped and I turned around just to watch the lady. And obviously she didn't know that I had stopped. So when she turned around and she saw that I was just standing there, she's kind of like, oh crap. And so she decided to go and look in this store that was closed, as if that's what she was looking at. And so, like the asshole I am, I said, "I see you, ma'am. You've been made, so you can continue on your way." And so she slowly starts walking away from me. I don't know if she was a part of something, but just the way that she reacted to me stopping let me know that she probably was not a good person. So, anyways, I make it to the intersection and I turn, make a right turn to go back towards the hotel. And once I get to the main intersection where the hotel is on that same street and there's the hospital, and I'm waiting to cross the street to go to my hotel, and I wait until the light is just about to turn red, and then I decide to cross the street because I was waiting to make sure nobody was in the crosswalk with me, no one was following me. And as
Mhm.
soon as I start walking across the street, these three men are behind me immediately. I don't know where they came from, but they're behind me. And they're black men. Not they didn't look American. They looked maybe African or Caribbean. And so now I'm immediately super on guard. And as I'm walking forward, there's an office building that's right there on the corner as I'm walking towards my hotel. And then there's the parking garage, and then my hotel's on the other side of the parking garage. So, and at the office building, there's like this little cove area on the side of it where you could sit down, and there was a Spanish person sitting down, and he had tattoos on his face, on his hands, and he's sitting directly across from a panel van. It was, I believe it was yellow, like a dirty yellow, and it had no windows, obviously, except for the front windows, and then the back windows on the back door were blacked out. And so immediately I recognized that for what it was, and I crossed the street. I just immediately darted into the middle of the street, and I think had I have gotten closer to the van, actually like right there, they would have grabbed me up and I would not be here. So when that happened, John and I, we left immediately. We left to go to the airport. And so the director, he's with us, and there were some other people that were actually in Boston with us. And one of someone that was with John showed him a tweet that someone had put up that said John Mcafee, and then it had the name of a cell phone store, and then it had the name of the city, I believe. And what is why I'm mentioning this is because that's the exact same cell phone store that we were in a few days prior, because John wanted to buy new phones, and instead of paying cash, he used a card. And so this whoever tweeted this was obviously giving people our location. So, that kind of solidified for John as well. And we went immediately to the airport, and we left with just basically the clothes on our back, and identification, obviously. And we left all of our phones there, and we went to Ireland, which was really cool. And there was when I spoke to John, and I finally actually when we went to Ireland, first we went to Scotland. So I actually in Scotland was where I told John what was happening. I told him everything that was happening, what was going on. So I basically had like he always called it a coming to Jesus moment. So I shared with him everything that was happening. So that was the beginning of the end of that situation.
Gotcha. That makes total sense. That is just the most epic story I've probably heard in person ever.
Sorry for
Yeah,
so
that
long.
was
Oh no. Hell, I was entertained the whole time. I'm sure other people will be too. I think you beat yourself up a little bit too much there, dude. That's you've got a lot of fucking interesting things to say. You should definitely let
yeah.
people
You
know about all of it.
need to write a book.
Yes, you know what? I definitely want to do that.
Yeah, I'd read it.
Yeah, I wonder if gosh, what's his name?
I want
Mark,
I want copy number 1.
Okay.
I was gonna say, didn't that the Mark guy that did the No Domain book? That I wonder if he'd be willing to work with you on something.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I think it might be a good fit.
yeah. No,
I
that's
definitely want a book. I definitely want to share our story, and
Yeah,
obviously
sure.
my story, separate from John's, because um I think it could help save lives. I honestly, I truly believe that. I'm not saying that I'm special or anything, but
you're pretty fucking
the things
special.
that
I don't
I've
know
been
anyone that has this story. Just so you know, like you went from an abusive, insane relationship where you had someone pimping you out to one of the most eccentric billionaires and possibly greatest minds of the century. Like that's a pretty fucking epic journey, dude. Like I'm envious of your adventure for as much trauma and terrible shit as it's had.
Yeah. Yeah, but I survived it, and if anybody can benefit from my story, I guess what I mean when I say I'm not special is I'm just saying I'm just a person,
Yeah.
and I just want to be able to share my story with people and hope that it saves lives and hope that it gives women, the courage to those that want to get out of that situation, that just to know that they're not alone,
Hmm.
and the reason why, just a quick segue here, the reason why I like crypto so much and why I think it's so useful is because if it was available when I was, or if I knew about it, when I was in the situation with my pimp, I would have been able to leave a long time ago, because that's
Hmm.
probably one of the biggest issues is money. How can you leave? How can you save up enough money without him not finding out about this money that you're hiding from him?
Hmm.
And how can you save up enough to sustain yourself while you try to figure out your next steps and your next moves? How you're going to get somewhere where you could hide out away from him, somewhere where he won't be able to find you. These are things that you have to really consider before you say, okay, I'm just going to leave. Because they're going to come and look for you,
Well,
and when they find you, it's going to be bad. And so
and I,
crypto, I think,
oh,
helps with that. But
Uh,
yes, go ahead. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
no, most definitely. I was actually just going to kind of jump on your idea there. I think if there's women in that situation that are trying to use that as a means to save, the hardest thing for them, especially if they're not tech savvy, would be figuring out how to get crypto without having to funnel it through a bank account the pimp could see anyway. And the thought that just popped in my head is, holy shit, there's a perfect reason to have those Coinstar machines that you can buy Bitcoin with. Because
Yeah.
now all of a sudden, if you want to, yeah, fuck it, go get $100 converted to quarters, dump it into a fucking Coinstar machine, eat the 30% in
Yeah.
fees, and now all of a sudden you've got $70 that motherfucker doesn't know about. And
Yeah.
so yeah, and that's just to jump from that, and since crypto is kind of a happier topic, and I know that crypto is linked to a lot of what seemed like fun times that you and Jordan had, I'm gonna go from segue to segue here and ask what's briefly the funniest and happiest memory that you have with John? Like if you just had one vivid fucking moment that stands out as holy shit, reliving that for the rest of my life would be heaven. What moment would that be?
Um,
That back to the easy questions.
yeah, right. um, wow. Maybe wow. Well, I don't know that there's just one, but maybe something more recent would be our European road trip. When we got away from the UK and we came over to Europe, we went to Italy and Germany. And it's not so much about us going to those places, although they were beautiful and it was really nice, but it was just a happier time, probably the happiest time that I've been able to have with him without that burden of, just worrying about what's next, worrying about so much safety. I think I kind of felt a little free there. Like there were brief moments where we could just relax, and just be and just enjoy being regular people. I think that's where there's a video of John in the in the strip club where he's on the pole and he falls. I don't know if you've seen that video.
Yeah,
It's
no,
really
I have. That was one of the memories I was thinking about when I was like, I can think of some
yeah.
happy ones that I've definitely seen posted.
But that was
Silly,
really
you
fun
know.
because we could, obviously people knew who he was, and it was okay. Obviously we're still on guard and we still had to be aware of our surroundings, but we were able to pretend to be like we were just regular people, vacationing, and that was really nice.
Well, on that note, I'm gonna stop the recording here real soon, and we'll say our
Okay.
goodbyes off camera for the show. But just as a random call out, if John does happen to be out there anywhere, that's maybe show up in plastic surgery as an old man and tell this lady something that'll cue her that it's you someday. That's I'm sure all she wants to do is have fun and be free with her old lover.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah, but that's I am sorry for the fight you're going through with Spain. That's all fucking ridiculous. Is there anything anyone can help you with that? Like, is there anything people can do? I know there's the change.org thing. Do you want to give that a little shout out here before I turn off the recording? Just
Um,
anything at all we can do to help you.
Honestly, I've thought about that a lot, and the the petition helped out. It definitely helped to get people's attention about what was happening. But I honestly, truthfully, I don't know, because this is a corrupt situation that I'm dealing with, and I don't know how you can
Well,
how if
right.
anyone can really change that aside from me doing interviews, which I'll start doing more of,
That's what
even
I was
more
gonna.
locally here,
Yeah, sorry
just
for
spreading
cutting you off.
awareness.
I was going to say, it seems like to me one of the most acute and recent examples of someone fighting corruption at a very massive scale is Elon Musk and the whole Twitter thing. Because holy
Yes.
crap, that's fun. And here's mainstream media trying to run him through the dirt, and he's just going, "Fuck you guys," and he's right, and people are showing it. Or like his Donald Trump poll where it was actually just a bot trap. Holy crap, that's another genius move. And I don't know if you know about that, but
Wow.
Elon pulled some galaxy brain shit there that just is amazing. But
What's up?
yeah, I was gonna say, so that whole thing just makes me think the best thing, in my opinion, for you is going to be a platform and getting out there as many as people as possible. So is there an email or some way people can reach out to you, like Twitter, Messenger, if
Yeah.
they want to have you on?
Yes, of course. You can DM me. My DMs are open. Also, you can reach me by email at Mrs. Janice Mcafee at gmail.com. And I would love to do interviews, more of them. Obviously, I'm still grieving, and a lot of time has had to pass for me to be in the right headspace for me to be able to do these interviews. And so now that I'm able to do that more frequently, please feel free to reach out and DM me at the Mrs. McAfee on Twitter and Mrs. Janice McAfee at gmail.com.
Awesome. Yeah, and we'll toss some links down there. Well, thank you very much, Janice. And I'm gonna end the recording, but don't go away quite yet.
Expect people here at Amateur Reality Hackers, things are a little different than they might seem. I hope you have a wonderful day.
And also, that Cygnus Gray company just sent us out these tubes of augmentation reality cream that we're supposed to be trying soon. So
Yeah, I'm about to bust open a bottle.
that's but yeah, we'll do it on the show here in the next show, or possibly the one after that. But anyway, guys, go be a good person, you silly sons of bitches.
Yeah, peace out, guys.
Peace.